Well, the first Berserker Khazan, what do you know? Another Souls-like, and what do you know? We love Souls-likes in here. I'm quite particularly more intrigued about this one. I personally say that the best Souls-like outside from From Software's work we've ever had, in my personal opinion, is Lies of P by a long shot. Now, it's not a competition on who can reach From Software's game, but who can beat the ones that have gotten closer. I think that the first Berserker Khazan has a very good shot at that. In this video, we'll discuss everything we know about the game, story, systems, combats, and what have you. And remember that at the time of the publishing of this video, there's also already a demo available, so you can go play the game for yourself. I'm going to talk about some of those systems and mechanics that you can already find in there. We are going to have more specialized content on the little intricacies about these little systems that we always love to do in this channel. But yeah, it is very, very good. What I have been playing so far, I'm just amazed, dude. And I think that if they continue in this path, this could even actually be better than Lies of P, honestly. For continuing, a little small tiny word from today's sponsors, Naxi, a rewards app where you can get cool rewards just by playing. You can earn gift cards that you can spend on Xbox, PlayStation, and Steam. Because if you're gonna be playing something on your free time, might as well just get something out of it, right? Download on Android right now. You can find the links in the video description so you can start piling up those games. So let's begin with the story, because here's what I think that we have one of the biggest highlights of the games. Developers have centralized a lot of the marketing around here, and that's because this is from the established lore of their other game, Dungeon Fighter Online. I cannot say it's like a sequel to their MMO or a prequel for that matter, but I can say that it is set on the same universe. And we could also theorize that this is a reimagination of the original tale of the character, but I'd say that it leans a little bit more into shedding some light into the character that's a fan favorite on DFO. And we're essentially going to learn more about him that has not been explored yet on the source material. And from what I have played, at least on the first playable time that we have on the game, and the little notes, because this is a game that it is going to have some kind of a narrative driven by notes and things like that. Yes, it very much resembles what we already knew from the original story, which what we know previously from DFO is that there was once a great general hero to the Pale Lost Empire, who alongside his friend, Ozma, one of the greatest wizards of the time, fought and defeated the Berserker dragon Hismar. This is also mentioned in-game. As such, they were regarded as war heroes, and their fame became known throughout the Empire. The Emperor, paranoid of how beloved they were, he framed them, and he set them up to fight against each other, so that they could be captured once weakened by their own fights. Then the Emperor had their families tortured and killed, and took Ozma's wife as one of his concubines. Ozma has his own tale of revenge. Here we're focusing on that of Khazan, but Ozma, it is mentioned in here as well. One of the notes that I found from the soldiers, it mentions that they gouged his eyes and things like that. So yeah, they pretty much tortured these guys that were war heroes. Khazan is also a boss fight in one of the Dungeon Fighter Online seasons, and thus everything surrounding this character has become a fan favorite around that game's community. In the first Berserker Khazan, as the name suggests, we will know a little bit more about this origin and the Khazan syndrome, meaning the Berserker curse. We start the game with a torturer, Khazan, transported to his execution likely after Ozma's fight, and when he's set free by a strange spirit, ultimately Khazan and the spirit actually fight and make a deal to collaborate towards each one goals. And well, yeah, they're basically exploring the tale of the first Berserker and the birth of the Berserker class in Dungeon Fighter Online. So big spoiler, huge spoiler, big spoiler alert in here, although this is just a theory. But I'd say that it's a very good and it's actually pretty obvious at that. Khazan is most likely going to die in this game. The game is quite literally called the first Berserker Khazan, meaning that they are still going to stick to the fact that it was him who released the Berserker curse on the world when he died. One of the other big aspects of Dungeon Fighter Online is that, well, it's a 2D beat 'em up the flashiness and cel-shaded graphical art style is still, as of today, regarded as one of the best-looking Korean MMOs when it comes to how flashy and well-made their animations are. The first Berserker Khazan leverages from that fact and combines one of the biggest emphasis and combat of the character with the graphical art style. The particles that you have with this cel-shaded art style that they have in here, I can confirm that it just looks gorgeous, especially when it comes to the combat system, because then again, like the aforementioned, while the game has a Souls-like formula skeleton, it is also a signature staple of an explosive combat system with the skills that Khazan will have. All of those skills are going to have tremendous and amazing the particles when it comes to the cel-shaded graphics that you see in here. But overall, more important than that, from the very few things that I have seen from the environments, I was actually afraid that this could be like a thing, like in many RPGs, that everything is just too linear and they don't change that much the setting. I've come through very, very interesting landmarks that they centralize your focus on that specific something when you are exploring, and it feels fresh and it feels it feels fine. It feels okay to be looking at these little extra things. But then again, I want to stress out that this cel-shaded kind of technique that they're using here on Unreal Engine 4, it makes them look like those landmarks that you can see in this game in the distance. YouTube compression is not going to make them justice, but they just look amazing, dude. They look amazing. I love to see them. Then again, so far we know that there's 3 different playstyles, at least when it comes to animation types of weapons. There's dual wielding, great swords and spears, all of which are going to have their own independent skills, flashy, explosive, bombastic skills that will sum up to the flashiness, to those particles, and to the game on itself. Which then again, it is a Souls-like, it is very difficult. I can say that it is not as difficult. I'm not sure, dude. It's like it's difficult to pinpoint a kind of difficulty in here. But if I can tell you something about how the game feels, it feels good. The iframes feel good. I do feel that the parries, which is something that this game focused quite a little bit on, they are too lenient, so they are not as tight as Sekiro. But Sekiro is a game that they take inspiration in here, because you have your meter bar and then you also have the stamina bar. So to break the enemy stances, the enemy posture, much like in Sekiro, or even much like in Lies of P, although I would lean a little bit more that Sekiro, because it shows you the stance bar of the enemy. You have to be doing perfect guards. They are not as frenetic as the ones in Sekiro, at least in the first sections of the game, which is obvious, of course. It is going to get a little bit more bombastic later on, but so far it feels like one thing that I like about the Berserker, the first Berserker Khazan, is that it feels like this is a game that you are not going to be locked into a specific something. I think that this is going a little bit more onto what Elden Ring was trying to do. I'm not saying that this is going to be as good as Elden Ring, but I'm saying that the developers actually took all of these mechanics and gave leniency and free play style to the players. If you want to dodge, you are going to be able to dodge, which is something that you're not able to do on Sekiro. If you want to parry and you want to be leveraging more on the parrying and the posture system, that's something that you can do. So essentially they are combining everything in here into this game, and the mechanics that I have tried and that I have felt, that I have used so far, they feel good. They feel on point, which is one of the aspects that many Souls-likes don't actually get, that it requires surgical precision for these little things to be in here. Then again, I do have to mention that, for example, when it comes to parrying and Sekiro's, like the Sekiro's playstyle, it is too easy in here. The frame animations, they are too lenient, so that's something to be mentioned in here. And then another one of the biggest highlights of Dungeon Fighter Online, and something that I think that they were leverage in here, and this is something that I can pretty much promise you as of right now, because I have played the demo and that I think that I've seen this to the extent that this is going to be a huge part of it. It's build crafting. That's one of the biggest aspects of the endgame on DFO. Your gear, your skills, and build ultimately will determine how the game will be feeling for you. And as an overall idea, Dual wielding has a frenetic kind of playstyle of attacking endlessly. Then you have the greatsword, which is somewhat slow but has skills that are faster, and there's also relies on hyper armor. There's a couple of other skills and attacks that have hyper armor, which you're going to be trading blows to deal posture damage. That's something that you can do. That's a playstyle that you can lean on if you want to be making, like, for example, a tank or something like that. And then there's this frenzy overboard, which lots of chainable combos that needs to be more managed with the stamina bar when it comes to the spear. And all of this is going to be tied not only to the weapons, but it also has a gear system similar to what you see on Diablo games, on this kind of looter games. And I would have to say that in this case scenario, it would be a little bit more, I wouldn't say that exactly like that, but it would be more like Neo or Wulong, or games from Team Ninja, that have like this kind of a Souls-likey kind of playstyle, but you can be farming. Like, let's say if you make a build and you're using the proper stats for the proper weapons, you can farm enemies to get a more higher rarity of gear and tackle on more difficult fights. That's something that you can do, but maybe there's going to be like crazy meta combinations that are just going to trivialize the game later on the end game, which is then again, like, yes, we have a Souls-like formula as a base in here, but that's something that's going to be present in there because there's gear rarity, and I can confirm that gear can be farmed from enemies, and the level of the gear that you get and the stats that you get from the gear, it's going to be dependent on how lucky are you with the RNG and the gear system in here. So far, it's looking amazing. I highly advise for you to go try it out for yourself. Remember, there's a live demo right now for PC, PlayStation, Xbox, and remember that this game is going to be coming to every major platform. That is the last and new generation of consoles. I'm really excited about this game. I really feel that this is going to be one of the best Souls-likes that we are going to have out there. Anyways, if you like the content, select never super appreciate it. Nostalgia day, you're just a beautiful person. You're just a beautiful person. Have a beautiful day. Have a beautiful, beautiful day, you gorgeous, beautiful people. Bye-bye.